but I hope we don't have a time zone mix-up.
So, why don't we go ahead and kick off the beginning part of the meeting? Anyhow, we can do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I know we've been reciting the four-way test. So let's go ahead and move forward, get the meeting started, and we can have some just general conversation while we wait for Richard to join us. I'd like to welcome Michelle and Darla from the Keystone E Club. We're glad to have you on the call with us as well. So Mac, do you want to go ahead and put up the pledge? Thank you. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of
America and to the republic
which
which
stands
one nation
under
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Mac, you've got the four-way test, is that right? Do you have that to put up on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, so if we could all recite that, please. Number one, is it the truth? Number two,
is it fair to all
concerned?
Number three,
will it
Will
and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
okay. Well, Richard has not appeared at this point, so any updates that anybody might have for the rest of the club? Again, hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and getting ready to kick this new year out the door and start with something a little bit better. But didn't know if anyone had any specific updates that they'd like to share with the group.
Well, Jim, I know you know, but maybe the rest of the folks in the club might not know that we sent out that $200 for that Kosovo chair project. And I wondered, and maybe Darla or Michelle could answer, is that the same, is that project within the group where that other Kosovo?
No, that's something separate that Stephanie was doing.
Yeah. That's
yeah, they did end up with a big push at the end because our club had kind of volunteered to fill in any gap that there was because it was in our backyard, and they had no gap, which was pretty exciting. So.
Yeah, I think initially the district committed to try to have a goal and meet 50 chairs, but wound up getting support for 123 chairs. So about almost $2,500. So it was the district as a whole really responded quickly and did a great job. I don't really have any other news to share with the club at this point. I could do a little tap dancing and a little Christmas caroling and things like that, but I don't think you'd really want to hear that.
Again, we all Lang Syne,
Hey, Jim. I don't know if the club is aware of it or not, but I know everyone was aware of the fact of Tom Grant passing. But was the club aware of the fact that Marie Grant passed also?
Yeah, I don't think we met since her passing. So
hopefully if they read the newsletter, I had an article in there about her.
Okay, I'm sorry, I must have missed it, Gary. Thanks.
Yeah, almost hard to believe, right? 15 days later, just truly sad.
Has there been any report of what caused it?
No, I haven't heard anything. The club did a memorial service for her last Wednesday evening, which was very, very nice. But no, I haven't heard any word.
She had COVID earlier in the year as well. I don't know if y'all knew that.
Yeah.
She was left with a little bit of a breathing issue from that.
Wow.
I don't know. I still guess my guess still is that it was from a broken heart.
Yeah. Wow.
I really think, and that's a real thing.
Yep.
I really think that had a great deal to do with it. Not that that was the only issue, but yeah.
No, they were extremely close. They did everything together. I mean, as I pointed out in the memorial service, you know, we always talked about, we never talked about them as a singular person. It was always Tom and Marie this, Tom and Marie that. They were a team.
Yep, yep.
I don't know if you're all aware, but Marie and Tom were both actually members of our club as well as friends and family members. And they were very active in everything they did in all their clubs, but in our club as well. And they were a big part of our cookbook committee, in addition to our and polio committee, obviously. But we had planned to dedicate the book to Tom. Hadn't told Marie yet. And now obviously the entire cookbook, it's an international cookbook that we're putting together here at the beginning of the year. The launch actually happens later today, and it'll be dedicated to Tom and Marie. And all of the funds that we raise will go towards humanitarian projects in their memory.
Hey, Jim, I may have screwed up on this invite because it's saying 12:30 on it.
Oh,
It was when we were doing hybrids, this was how it was set up. And I just questioned whether I sent, what I sent, and it does say 12:30. I apologize for that. So.
oh, do you want to try to shoot him a quick email and let him know that he could join now? And it might work better because I know he had some time constraints. I guess that's why he was more concerned about being done by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, let me shoot that
Okay.
to him.
Gary, I apologize for not looking at your newsletter closely this week. Do we have any updates on Ed Vogel? Do we know how Ed's doing?
He's doing okay. He's at home. His daughter-in-law will get him into work, kind of like 1 day a week. So he's trying to hang on that way. But his strength is not good at all. I mean, after you get laid up for that long in a hospital bed, you don't have much mobility, which is kind of where he's at.
Okay.
But he's still plugging.
So I guess I can conclude that everybody who got the email today didn't really read it very closely and signed on at noon instead of 12:30 it said.
I just ignored that part.
We just trust you, Mac. We trust that you know what you're doing all the time.
That's not a good idea at all. And while we're waiting, Darla, what are the programs coming up on Keystone? Maybe you can let everybody know those.
Yeah, we actually have a full schedule. Let me try and bring it up here. But again, our club meets on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. And coming up the very first, let me find it here.
You're not meeting tomorrow though, right?
No, we're not meeting tomorrow. Not meeting tomorrow.
Hi, Bob Utes. I have to say that. Hi, Bob Utes.
Good to see you guys. Thanks.
Oh goodness, I'm having trouble finding it. Let me pull up an email. Okay, our first one is Mary Burge, is the very first Thursday of the month, which would be, or of January, which would be January 7th. And then Scott Bayline arranged for a past district governor to give us some insight to a village filled with children with some desperate situation in India. That'll be January 14th. January 21st, we actually stole one of your speakers. Amy Fleming will be coming to speak on gun safety that Michelle has arranged. And then on the 28th, actually Caltrina has a friend that will give us a visual journey into the Prince William Sound. So we're pretty excited about our programs for January. And again, just on behalf of the Keystone Club, partnering with other clubs has been so key to us and actually such a unique way for us to make connections. with people, with clubs, for projects, for different interests and different things. We can't tell you what the partnership with your club has meant to us. So we just want to thank you for supporting the Build-A-Chair and anything else that comes down the pike. You guys have always been great supporters, and we truly, truly appreciate that. So. We expect.
Well, I know coming up on our schedule, and I know Chuck's not on the call today, but for our club, we've got club assembly on the 6th in January. I don't know the name of the speaker, but on the 13th, this individual who I guess hails from Beirut, that person might have been a speaker at your Keystone Club meeting. I don't know the name, but so we'll have that individual
to give an update. Yeah, she was great. She's actually a public image chair. I don't know that I'd be able to pronounce her name even if it was in front of me, but yes, it'd be great to get an update for that.
And then I think, Michelle, I think Chuck was trying to get you for that next week, but I'm not sure if that's been inked or not, but if so, that would be great.
What week? I'm sorry, Jim, what week was that?
Oh, he had tossed around January 20th, but he had not.
Yeah, that would be fine. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Matt could let me know that you might be, that Chuck, excuse me, that Chuck might be reaching out. I haven't spoken to him quite yet, but sure. The 20th, it works fine for me.
Okay.
Here's Richard's coming in. So
excellent.
You got my email. That's the hazards of cut and paste.
He's got a puppy there.
I was gonna say he's got a dog too.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one smart dog he's got there.
So Jim, I think we could probably just go ahead and let him get started, and I'll admit people and apologize as we go.
Okay, Richard, can you hear us on the call?
He's not connected on audio just yet.
Okay, so we'll give that a couple minutes here anyhow.
Probably have everyone put yourselves on mute also, if you would, while we're getting a presentation.
I'm going to have to go get my puppy before long here.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to schedule a cat and dog show here or something for one of our meetings. Well, Richard is connected, but muted and no video yet. Oh, good. There's video.
Oh, there. Richard, welcome. Can you hear us all right? See us all right?
No, you're on, no audio.
Still on mute.
Richard.
He's on mute.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. We can hear you now.
Great to see everybody.
That's great to see you, Richard. Thank you so much for being able to make the time to be on the call today. We have some folks from our Richmar Club as well as our Keystone International E-Club. When they heard that you were going to be speaking, they wanted to participate in that as well. So we hope you had a wonderful Christmas holiday and all is going well.
Yes, everything's going great. It's good to see all of you, and thank you so much for the invitation. We're doing the same thing in Mexico. We're having Zoom Rotary meetings, so it's nice to connect with all of you.
Well, I know you've become a great friend with the Richmar Club over the years, and we've had the opportunity to visit with you in person, usually around the Thanksgiving holiday. And obviously,
Right.
we weren't able to do that this year, but again, we're glad that we can have you online. So with that, I'd say welcome and thanks so much for being on the call. And if you could please give us an update on what's been
Okay.
happening in the past year. I'm sure you've got many challenges that we don't even have related to the COVID situation.
Well, you're right, Jim. I think COVID has affected every one of us in many different ways, and certainly it's affected the work that we do in Mexico. That was the reason I was unable to meet with you guys in November because of COVID. But good to see all of you. I'm going to switch over to a presentation. Let me see if we get that to the beginning. Can you see it?
Yes, it's up.
Can you see the presentation? Oh, okay, great. Well, we're doing okay, just like the rest of the world, but we're glad to be able to continue to be able to helping people, and really proud to be a Rotarian even in Mexico because we continue to do good work throughout the world. So thanks for letting me share.
Richard,
So let me tell you a little bit.
We're seeing your entire screen, the PowerPoint program and stuff. So we're not just seeing the presentation. You probably need to hit play or something to show us the.
How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So I don't know how much you know about what's going on next door. But there you were using a red light. And right now, you can see the arrow. Well, that's exactly where I live in Mexico. We're in the only part of Mexico that back to red. We were orange for quite a while, but the cases are growing, and you can see on the bottom left side that the cases continue to grow. I've heard a saying once that if the United States sneezes, the rest of the world gets it, the colds, and the cases are growing in Mexico too. But saying that, we were closed from March through August, but since August, we've been doing refurbishing wheelchairs and donating wheelchairs. The form of how we've been doing that is much different than what we're doing before. As you work with a couple different organizations in the United States who collect the wheelchairs for us, and they're shipped by a container. So instead, previously we're giving the wheelchairs and other equipment to individuals, but now we're giving them to communities. And the idea behind that is so that we don't get COVID. So we're just donating, you can see in the pictures, very basic wheelchairs. We call them hospital wheelchairs or adult wheelchairs. Some are going to individuals, and some are going to hospitals. On the right side of the screen is a rehabilitation center. So they're going to communities and also to individuals, up the wheelchairs, and then they donate them. In Mexico, there's an organization called DIF, means Development and Integration of the Family, and it would be in the United States, the Department of Social Services. So their job is to help poor people and help people with disabilities. So they take these wheelchairs and they deliver them for us. And then they send us pictures of the people who get the wheelchairs, so we know that they're actually being delivered. So we have a procedure that they need to follow. Our numbers have certainly gone down a lot, but since we started in 2020, we've donated 241 wheelchairs, 16 walkers, 7 canes, 5 crutches. Last year, we donated more than 2,000 pieces of equipment. You can see the numbers have dropped greatly because of the virus. We had to suspend many events. Normally, we have U.S. teams like Rotary clubs join us in Mexico to help us to donate wheelchairs and do accessibility projects. We have an annual trip to Puerto Vallarta every March or April. We had to cancel that. In August every year, we have a 5-day multi-day sports and recreation camp where we're all together 24/7 for 5 days, and we had to cancel that. And then we have picnics and other activities to check in with each other during the year. And we've been doing those on Zoom, so we've been able to meet. And then we have, as you know, or I think you know, we have a school of 50 students, and they've been meeting, continuing through Zoom. So we've been able to continue our activities to a great extent. This is a picture of the Harmony School, our school meeting via Zoom. One of the things we were able to do in October with my Rotary Club, we donated about 20 wheelchairs to people in a community. So you can see Rotary at work in Mexico. And then just in December, we have an annual trip to Mazatlan, and we donated 20 wheelchairs to the local government there so they could donate them on behalf of us. And I have an American friend who's in the left side of the picture next to him. And they're going to be starting a new donation center with World Access Project to be independent, but with our help. And so we donated 20 wheelchairs to him. The guy in the blue shirt and the wheelchair is Tito. Tito is our director of sports for the organization. And we hosted a sports and recreation clinic while there in Mazatlan. It's a 3-day camp, and we have up to 15, 30 people in the camp. This year was pretty small, only about 12 people, but so they can get out and be active. We normally do, but the community helped us. You can see the great view in the back of the picture. We're right off the ocean. So it was a really great event. That was just last month, or this month, actually, the beginning of this month. We also hosted a national wheelchair tennis tournament. We also normally host an international wheelchair tennis tournament, but because of COVID, a lot of people don't want to travel. So we hosted a national tournament in Mexico with players from Mexico, and 2 of us played from the United States. We had 10 men in the tournament and 4 women. I participated, won my first match and lost the rest. We had a singles tournament and doubles. You can see it's was beautiful weather and a beautiful location in Mazatlan. We gave out trophies, and it was a really good week. Everybody had a good time. And I just want to show you a picture of the team that we're working with now. On the left side is Hector, Aquetzali, Josue, Aurelia, Kike down below with his dog, Profe or Professor, and then me, and my dog Maximilian. You guys met Max, right? I think. Can't remember. And this is kind of what's going on in Mexico now. The number of cases are continue to grow. Again, we're on a red light, and so we haven't worked since 2 weeks ago, and we're closed until January 10th, and then we'll decide if we can come back and work again. It's not about 12,000 new cases a month in the entire country, so it's much less than the United States by a great amount. But at least where I live, the cases have been growing, so we're on a red light. Red light means basically do nothing. Yellow light means can do everything, but with safe distance and protection. And then once we get to a yellow light, we plan to start our donations back to normal. And green means completely normal. So basically, that's all I have, but I wanted to share that with you.
Richard, is the big challenge been your ability to distribute the wheelchairs, or has there been just a real decline in chairs that you've been able to receive as donations to be able to spread throughout your area?
Jim, basically a big decline because of the contact with the people. So we're just donating very basic wheelchairs. The only 2 things that you really adjust on them is the height of the footrest and the armrest. We have other wheelchairs that are a lot more complicated that really have to be donated in person. And so they've been on hold since March. We have over 500 people waiting to get wheelchairs. Also, it has been affected because many of the wheelchairs in the United States that we get are refurbished by inmates in prisons. And you know that there's been a lot of problems with the virus in prisons. So they have shut down some of the donation centers in the United States. But actually, speaking of that, today in the United States, they're loading a container to send us 450 wheelchairs at the beginning of next year. So we have the wheelchairs that we need. It's just getting them to the people without having risk for them and for us with the virus.
Richard, how do you identify the people that you give the wheelchairs to, and how do you screen them? What kind of criteria do you have?
Basically, the only requirement is that they have to be poor. And 90% of people with disabilities in Mexico are in extreme poverty. Most of the time, I mentioned we work with the DIFs, or the Department of Social Services. They find the people, or the people go to them and say that they need the equipment. And then we work with them to give the equipment to the donation, to the individuals. So right now we're working in 7 different states throughout Mexico. The DIFs find the people, they get the information, and then we take the wheelchair they need to them, or they come to us and get the wheelchair or other equipment.
Richard, could you share a couple stories of how transformational it has been for some of the folks, you know, how they were living prior to receiving a wheelchair?
Well, 2 of the people that you saw in the photo, one was Hector, and we met Hector about 4 years ago. He was beat up on the street by a bunch of bullies and left for dead. And some people found him, took him to the hospital, and they had broken his back. And the first time I met him, he was still in his bed. Had just gotten out of the hospital and didn't have a wheelchair. So we gave him a very basic wheelchair. Hector is now engaged to be married. He's working with us full time. He went to Mazatlan with us and played in the tennis tournament, and I would say he has a very good life. Kike, the one with the small dog, I met him the second time I came to Mexico over 20 years ago, and he fell out of a tree when he was 12 years old and broke his back. And basically we just stayed in the house and didn't do anything. And from the beginning of when World Access Project started working in Mexico, Kike has been with us for more than 11 years. And he's very active. He's an artist. He's got his own studio in his house. He does a lot of woodwork and painting for people in the community. And the community donated a house to him. So he lives in a 1-bedroom house next to his family. And he's got a very good life. He's got his own car and he does very well. So a wheelchair is mobility, but it's also a life changer. It's just amazing. People that are stuck in their house, more than 1 million people in this country are presently stuck in their house because they don't have the equipment that they need. And so we're trying to start new donation centers throughout the country so that we can. Mexico is a big country. Just to drive from the northern part to the southern part is a 3-hour drive. So to take wheelchair from where we live to some other places are more than 15 hours to drive. So we're trying to develop donation centers in other locations so we can have other people helping people getting wheelchairs to the 1 million people who need them.
Hey, Richard, hi, it's Michelle from the Keystone International E-Club. How are you?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm new to your program, but I'm very intrigued by it. It sounds like you're doing amazing work. And I noticed in most of the photographs, your recipients were adults. So are you sort of targeting a particular population of people? I know you said the very poor, but is it mainly adults so they can kind of get back on their feet economically and earn a living in those things?
You're very observant. We donate wheelchairs to everybody. Basically, there aren't any very good wheelchairs for children under 5 years old. So we tell them to use a stroller until they get old enough to use a regular wheelchair. But the reason you didn't see kids in the pictures are because normally the kids' wheelchairs are much more complicated. Children with cerebral palsy, other severe disabilities, we can't give them a very basic wheelchairs that you saw. And that means that we need to be with them one-on-one. And so once we start giving away the wheelchairs in person again, you'll see more pictures of children getting wheelchairs.
And do you
Yeah,
make
we give
those
wheelchairs.
specific
I'm
ones
sorry.
locally there in Mexico? The ones that you're talking about that are more suited to the individual needs of the child?
Did you say, do we make them?
Are they manufactured in Mexico City, right? Or locally, I guess is what I'm asking.
No, none of the wheelchairs that we donate are made here in Mexico. They're all used, refurbished wheelchairs, either from the United States or used wheelchairs we find in Mexico and refurbish them. But no new wheelchairs from Mexico.
Okay,
And
well,
I noticed the pictures that.
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead.
No, you.
No, I was just going to say.
It's all right. No, please go ahead.
No, you go. No, I go. No, you go. Okay, I was just going to say briefly that some of us that are on the screen are part of a project at the Keystone Club surrounding wheelchairs as well. And I don't know if any of the members had mentioned it, but we started a project when Darla was our president earlier in the year. And it's a project in conjunction with one of our Rotarian members in Tanzania. And we're also providing wheelchairs to people with disabilities in Tanzania through a clinic there. They're made locally there because the terrain is, as you might understand, is very different. But we're also kind of in the wheelchair business, and we've seen firsthand really as you said, the amazing transformation that people have when they leave a bed and become mobile. And for us, what I think have learned over the past many months, it's a lot about dignity, and it's about all the other things, the economic and children going to school and people getting jobs. But I think what we've been touched by, because like you, we meet all of our recipients, we write stories on each recipient, we catalog each recipient. And so it's, it's very moving for us to see somebody that was bedridden and now is going to the university and earning a degree and, just a new 100% new lease on life. So it's been a really cool program, which we're planning to continue our program. It's a much smaller scale, of course, than yours, but we're very happy to be starting a second phase, and we have some other international clubs joining us this time from the UK and from New Zealand. So it's been a pretty cool experience. I think he's frozen.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Chuck. Somebody sent me some information about your project, and it's very, it looks very impressive. We don't build wheelchairs because basically when we get a container of wheelchairs from the United States, they put 450 wheelchairs in a container. We pay $10,000 for the ship. We don't pay a penny for the wheelchairs. So it comes down to less than $20 a wheelchair. And I noticed the wheelchairs that you're building are all terrain, and there's certainly a need for that. What we do for the people that live in rural is that all wheelchairs is we modify them by putting like knobby wheelchairs, like mountain bike, and then they're very similar to the wheelchair.
Yeah, well, it's a fabulous program, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking about after
about it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, if you'd like to be in contact, we can talk about how we get together, how we get you. Just so you know, this name, Johnny, Joni, in the world. And they're located outside of Los Angeles, California. And this lady is a quadriplegic that broke her neck many years ago. And they have collection sites all over the United States. And they probably ship the wheelchairs to Africa for you. It's a great organization. I'd strongly recommend. By the way, if you guys could give this club my email address, we can be in touch and work together. Any questions you have, anybody can help, be glad to.
Okay, thanks, Richard. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Richard, you mentioned a number of your fundraising events and things that were canceled this year. How's the financial situation? How's your need for funds, and how's that progressing? Or what are
Well, if you guys would each donate $1 million, would be perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll leave that to Jim. He's the banker.
Well, considering that we've done less work, we have enough money, but we certainly need more funds to be able to donate more. And so the question is, just like the United States, when are we going to get back to life that's going to be semi-normal? The vaccines are way behind in this country. I don't think I'm planning to go to the United States to get my vaccine and then come back to the VA hospital in San Diego when I can. But yeah, you know, a nonprofit can always use more funds, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Richard, Joe Schmidt here. Richard, good to see you again. I talked to Roger Nicholson yesterday and told him you were going to be visiting with us. So he says to say hello. Of course, he was wondering whether you're going to be here in person. I said, no, it's not going to work that way. And he's not in a situation where he could be on the virtual meeting. So, but he was happy to hear that you were visiting with us. A lot of folks on the call here, though, don't know how you started and what your story is. That might be interesting for everyone to know what happened to you and how this all started.
Okay, Joe, thanks. Please tell Roger I said hi. I'm glad to hear he's still around and he's doing okay. And next time you see him, please give a hug for me, virtual hug at least.
Sure.
You can't tell by the video, but I use a wheelchair as well. I broke back in 1976 while I was in the United States Air Force. And I was, to make a long story short, in 1997, I was invited to Mexico by a couple friends of mine. And on that trip, I met a 17-year-old girl who was born with polio, lived in the middle of a cornfield, never had a wheelchair in her life. And the only way she went anywhere is when she was carried by someone in her family. That day, I met her in a chapel with 20 other people who were carried, pushed in wheelbarrows, pushed in grocery carts. And I had one wheelchair that I brought to Mexico to give to somebody. And as I looked around the room, this girl, Letty, received the wheelchair. She had a huge smile on her face. She calls me Dad. She calls me Papa. And she got the wheelchair. Her smile, her appreciation, her gratitude literally changed my life. And that's why I started donating wheelchairs in Mexico. A few years later, I met another organization. We started donating wheelchairs all over the world. I've donated wheelchairs in Afghanistan, Vietnam, Thailand, Costa Rica, El Salvador. But I think it was 2007, I decided to just focus on one country to have a permanent, sustainable presence. And I've been living here since 2009, full time. And just being able to touch people's lives and interact with them daily has made a huge difference. Letty now is married. She has 2 kids and they call me Grandpa. And it's been a great relationship. And so through that, this has grown. And one of the huge opportunities or resources that we've used in the United States are other people that we give wheelchairs to, so that when they get a wheelchair, we have this 5-day camp that I mentioned. So we teach them how to do wheelies, how to go up and down stairs, how to go down ramps. And so we get them involved with their community and they start donating wheelchairs too. And so just kind of give them a job and also give them an opportunity to help other people with disabilities.
How many wheelchairs have you donated now since you started? Do you have any idea?
I'd say about 15,000.
Wow.
But that's
Maybe.
a little bit short of 1 million. We're on our way.
Richard, how are your parents doing? I know they were neighbors of Rogers for a long time.
Yes, they live in Gibsonia. My dad's going to be 94 the end of next month. My mom's 92. They're still in their own home. They have caregivers coming in for about 8 hours a day, and I have a brother that lives really close. So thank God they're still doing well. And I talked to them on the phone. We had a Zoom meeting for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So thank God they're doing well.
Great.
Well, hopefully by this time next year in November, I'll be able to come and visit all of you in person.
Great.
Roger will be 93 in April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do we have some other questions for Richard? Anybody else?
Well, hopefully when we get him to the meeting, go visit him in person. Rotary's still working well in Mexico. We're meeting. I'm sorry, Jim, you're breaking up, or Joe, you're breaking up. Can you say that again?
Go ahead, Richard.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said, Joe. Okay.
Oh,
No, I just said that Roger is going to be 93 in April. So your folks and he are in the same age range. That's all.
Yeah.
so any final questions for Richard, or Richard, any final comments, any takeaways, anything we should be thinking about as we
I
move
just
on?
have one question. How can we help?
Well, if you ever, once this virus is over, we'd love to have you come down to Mexico maybe sometime and donate some wheelchairs. Financial support is always helpful. And that just, if you know people that have wheelchairs or other mobility equipment that they're not using, please contact John and friends they have. Actually, I'm not sure where the closest donation center is to where you are, but probably within an hour, there's a place where they can drop off the equipment and it'll go to somebody that can use it.
Thank you.
I just want to commend you for your work. Again, that can be life-changing for someone, just to give them the ability to get up and do something on their own. Just changes their whole mental outlook, whether it's just to be involved in family, to get outside, to go to church, to get a job. It just changes their world and the scope of the world. So yeah, great story.
You know,
Richard,
I remember
40,
almost, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Could you send us the contact information and email stuff for the group that provides the wheelchairs to you? In other words,
I'm sorry, kind of breaking up.
can you send us the contact information for the group that provides the wheelchairs to you that you mentioned?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, I'll get that to you today. Yeah, I remember when I broke my back, I think in April, this April will be 45 years ago. I was an airplane mechanic at the time, and I thought, well, what am I going to be able to do with my life? And I really feel blessed again to be able to share my disability and what I've learned with other people with disabilities to give them a better quality of life. And so it's, you know, people say, well, why do you live in Mexico? Isn't it easier to live in the United States? Well, it's much easier to live in the United States, but I feel like I really have a purpose here in Mexico to help other people, and people's lives are changed every year. So what could be better than that? And being part of Rotary and doing it with Rotary has been a huge plus.
Nothing better than using your own story to change someone else's story.
Exactly. Yeah.
Richard, you inspire us. Thank you.
Well, it's always a blessing to see you guys. Wish you all a very happy new year. Well, I'll pray that things will be better in 21 and look forward to seeing you again soon.
That's great. Well, Richard,
Okay.
thank you again so much for your story, and many blessings to you as well as World Access Project. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks to all you. Big hug. See you later. Adios. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Well, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all. And thanks for joining on the call today. And we'll see you January 6th for the club assembly.
I have one question before you get out. Don't mind.
Sure.
I have a question. Maybe the elephant in the room, but why is Joe upside down in my camera this whole meeting?
Why
Is that
am I outside?
nobody else sees that on his?
That's a bonus present for you, I think. He's
Nope.
right side up on mine.
OM is inverted on mine. I have
Bob,
no
you got
idea why.
gremlins in that computer.
You might need to
Yeah,
check your view.
everybody else looks.
See if you can, there's different settings for view, Bob, that you can set so you can, and sometimes if there's too many on the screen, you have to move back and forth. It depends on the particular computer.
Outside.
Though
All
I do think Zoom's updated their software now on your iPads. You used to only be able to get 9 per screen, but I think you can get up to 20 now. So if you're an iPad user and it's easier to use an iPad, you can see a lot more people. Okay, all. Well, Happy New Year.
All right.
You know, don't get too wild and crazy and go out to all those open bars and nightclubs that are out there.
Sure, Jim.
Take care. We'll see y'all.
Thanks.
Happy New
Thanks
Year.
for having me here.
Everybody.
Happy New Year.
Here.